Okay, friends, we're live this Thursday, early evening, late afternoon, or whatever you want to call it. Rusty with you here. It is CFLW. We're tracking a few stronger to severe storms. We have one severe thunderstorm warning. Wanted to come on and just kind of give you guys the synopsis of what's been happening. We've had some pretty active weather through portions of this Thursday afternoon already. So let's get started. Again, as always, CFLW is sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida. You see their logo at the bottom of your screen. They're your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. It's storm season. You get storm damage of any kind. They'll walk you through every step of the insurance claim process. It is leanomnilaw.com. That's the website. Appreciate everyone jumping into the chat. How you guys doing? Hope you're doing well. Let's talk about the severe thunderstorm warning that we have right now. This is a nasty storm that is right over the Melbourne radar site. So we have a severe thunderstorm warning that encompasses and is surrounded by a special weather statement. So I'm going to just drop that off real quick. Severe thunderstorm warning is going to go until 5:30. This is going to be the bulletin from the National Weather Service office in Melbourne. Severe thunderstorm impacting east central Brevard County. Moving off to the east at 15, so located over Indian Harbor Beach or the Melbourne area, winds of up to 60 miles an hour. So damage to roofs, siding, and trees are possible with this. Palm Bay, Melbourne, Satellite Beach, Indian Atlantic, and the Patrick Air Force Base all within this severe thunderstorm warning. So it's mainly the winds. Now the interesting thing, of course, by the Weather Service office and the radar, we do have a METAR site here, and at least at the last check, they had a 24-mile-an-hour wind gust. Now, that was at 4:53. So we'll see if any more potent winds move across this area, because that's the severe thunderstorm criteria right now is the winds. 3/4 inch size hail. Again, that's teetering on the opportunity for some impactful hail there as far as size goes. And again, this is the track of this. It's going to get offshore relatively quickly here. So, through the A1A area here of the Bay Area Islands, about 5:23. So even though the severe thunderstorm warning goes for the next 14 minutes, the severe thunderstorm should mainly be offshore in about 7 or 8 minutes. All right, so we have about another 7 or 8 here. Now, north of there, you're going to have another area where the storm could linger a little bit longer, places like Suntree and Palm Shores, and then across the Satellite Beach area as well. And as you would imagine here, we're going to get some marine warnings to go along with everything else. So, outside of this, you're going to have a larger marine warning that goes for the next hour. So that's the severe thunderstorm warning that we have. I'll go back and put on the special weather statements. At this point in time, I think that's the only other one that we have going, but there is another cluster of non-severe storms beginning to refire. Earlier in the afternoon, storms developed right across I-4 here in central sides of the state. Then they worked their way off towards the east, where they got a little bit more prominent, got a little bit more potent as they did so, but then they eventually worked their way offshore. So all of this activity that you see north of Brevard County and all the way up towards Jacksonville, especially up in Jacksonville, they've had some stronger storms there, but they've basically worked their way offshore, even down to Indian River County. We'll look at that in just a minute, but right now, southern sides of Orange County, we do have a few stronger storms. Going to monitor the situation here over the 5 o'clock hour as to how those continue to develop. We did have a 30-mile-an-hour wind gust in downtown Orlando. We've had some breezier conditions and some heavier rain. Now look, this is also the drive home time. You guys know that. This is not a fantastic time across I-75, I-95, I-4 to have blinding rain, but you have that right now, the southern sides of Orange County. This is all moving off towards the east. There is a little bit of forward speed with this. That's good news, right? But the storms are getting a little bit stronger as they swing into the south side of Orange County and the Orlando metro area. So Hunters Creek, Meadowwoods, MCO, there's already been one airport weather warning earlier today towards Lake Nona. And again, all of this kind of pushing off towards the east at this point in time. Let me jump over to the chat. Hope you guys are doing well. Hey, Farah, how are you? Hey, Asheru, good to see you. Hey, Kevin, Lakeland is in the house. Yeah, Linda just had a good storm. I would imagine there in Brevard County, Linda, you absolutely did for sure. Asher says Conway had some rain a bit ago, nothing too heavy, just some nice swift rain. Yeah, the one good thing about this, guys, is that there is going to be some decent forward speed to the storms that we're seeing here. Now, up in the northern part of the state, it's not the case. There actually was a flash flood warning earlier in the Jacksonville area, but we should at least have a little bit of forward momentum to some of these storms. Now, you notice here to the south and west of Lakeland, into the Medulla area. I believe that's the airport out there north of Mulberry. They had a nice little 40-mile-an-hour wind gust at 350. I mean, we've had some gustier winds develop out of this, and that's been the main primary threat. But, you know, again, the opportunity for some half-inch to maybe three-quarter-inch size hail, and that's what we have within this thunderstorm. Now, you get even into southern Merritt Island and Vieira, right, just south of Rockledge. That's still a hefty part of that storm. So it's going pretty hefty right now, pretty gangbusters. And, you know, again, this all blew through Indian River County, where Sebastian had a 36-mile-an-hour breeze. So, you know, we'll have to wait and see if these storms want to pulse back up again. Now, as you guys know, we have our live cameras here at CFLW, so let's look at those. Live look outside to the western side of Orange County. Again, this is kind of on the western periphery of where some of the storms are trying to develop at the hour, but you can see some of the darker bases moving back in. A nice little glimmer of sun sneaking through as well. Here is Winter Park. This is our new camera. We're calling it the Lean Law Cam. Live look outside to Winter Park here in central sides of Central Florida, and this camera is looking just to the south of east, so it's another great shot as we watch some of the showers and storms develop there, but yet another tool of the arsenal to help tell the weather story live for you guys. Here is Conway, southeast side of Metro Orlando, downtown Orlando, that is looking off towards the east, so we're seeing some of this activity pull away. Behind it, still relatively cloudy skies, bit of a breeze from time to time as well, and again, quiet there at the hour, and then back over towards Conway, or excuse me, the attractions area. Get it right eventually. This is looking back to that cluster of thunderstorms in the southern side of Orange County. So right over the attractions, no, but obviously an ominous sky just to the south. It's teetering on trying to get up towards Lake Buena Vista, so we'll have to monitor this. I mean, obviously, this is an area that is always, you know, always are going to have a lot of people outdoors when you're talking about the Magic Kingdom and Epcot and Universal and SeaWorld. And again, the Disney property is just 1 mile from this camera, so it's a good camera to monitor here at any point in time with so many folks being outdoors in that part of Central Florida. So back over to the weather computer. Again, so kind of looking at this, give me just 1 second here, guys. Kind of looking at this back into southwest Orange County. So, you know, here's Lake Buena Vista. So we're looking south, and you can see that the heavier rain has come into Four Corners and Celebration and Champions Gate, and where the 429 dumps off here on I-4, it's always a slow go. So that's not fantastic to have the heavier rain there. This is beginning to pulse up as it moves right over the airport. And again, you know, my computer says, hey, look, there's an opportunity for some smaller size hail out of that particular cell. So we'll have to watch out for that. But the reason why I jumped on is, again, we have this severe thunderstorm warning for Brevard County. Take off the special weather statement. So now the winds have increased to 35 there. And your summary of it looks like this. Again, now the interesting thing is they put tornado possible, and the reason why is, and we'll take a look at this in just a second, as these storms are moving offshore, there is a little bit of rotation associated with them. So we've got the hail threat, as radar indicated, a possible funnel cloud. We've got max winds of 60, and we've got Palm Bay, Melbourne, Satellite Beach, Indian-Atlantic, and Patrick Air Force Base as the main areas that could be impacted by this. So switching over to the velocity product here, what I'm going to be keeping an eye on, and actually let me do one other thing as well. Let's go into this mode, and that'll let us see a few other things, is that as these storms either move across the rivers, and again, the hard thing about this is that we're right at the radar site, so you get that cone of silence, but you can see some of these really fresh winds coming off of Indian Harbor Beach, and those brighter reds are the stronger wind gusts, and there is the opportunity that you get a little bit of rotation here coming offshore or right over the rivers, because of course you get your friction difference between land and even across the Indian and the Banana Rivers, there's an opportunity that you can get a brief spin up. It's not out of the question, so have to monitor that. If we go back over to the actual bulletin, Here you go. Remain alert for a possible tornado. There you go. Tornadoes can develop quickly from severe thunderstorms, so there you go. So they've even mentioned it in their bulletin. And if you guys live in this area, let me know in the comments. I mean, I know Linda's just a little bit north of that area, but there is the opportunity here to, have to monitor, especially right along the immediate coast, a brief spin up. No doubt about it. So again, that severe thunderstorm warning goes for the next 5 minutes. Hey, Blue Goose, how you doing? Appreciate you jumping in the chat. Hope everyone's well on this Thursday. Is everyone good? I hope you're doing good. I'm hanging in there. It's been a very busy time for a lot of different reasons. So they've issued another special weather statement. So the special weather statement actually goes now into Merritt Island. So that's a new one, and that's going to go till 5:45. So you've got this one that will end with the severe thunderstorm warning at 5:30, but another special weather statement will take over. So it's good that, and again, we're right along the coast, but it's also good that at least right now, they don't feel the necessity to reissue the severe thunderstorm warning. And again, we are in velocity mode because I'm keeping an eye out for a spin up, a funnel cloud, anything that I see here, anything that piques my interest. I see a lot of wind coming off the coast, I can tell you that much. If we query those winds, these are real, and by the way, we are right at the airport, so these are ground winds. They are at the surface. We've got 50-mile-an-hour winds cranking just off of Patrick Air Force Station, Space Force Station, apologize. We've also got Satellite Beach right here as well. So strong winds, Indian Harbor Beach, in the Atlantic. We've got 50s, no doubt about it, coming offshore right now. Moving away, but that's the kind of wind that's being produced out of that. So back over to reflectivity. Again, when you've got a strong storm like this near the air, near your radar site, things can look a little bit different in presentation than what they normally would. With this storm here, let's see. I was going to say, might be able to check it out with the Tampa radar. Now, the good news is if you live north, all of the heaviest stuff has moved offshore. This could slip into northern St. Johns County, but it's been really stuck across I-10. Jacksonville, again, 50-mile-an-hour winds there. They've had a flash flood warning. So my main area of concern is obviously coastal Brevard County from the southern sides of Merritt Island down towards Palm Bay, including Indian Harbor Beach, Satellite Beach, severe thunderstorm warning in effect for the next couple of minutes. We'll see if they feel like they need to reissue it, but considering that they've already thrown up another special weather statement, it's probably going to turn into that. Then the secondary area is going to be how these storms crank back up in southeast side of Orange County. Now, they're not severe, and there's not even a special weather statement, but they could be on the uptrend here. At MCO, we've had a 28-mile-an-hour wind gust, and that has to be recently. Yeah, that was at 5:21. So just 6 minutes ago, Kissimmee had a 24-mile-an-hour wind here at 4:40. Look, nothing outrageous with these, right? Those aren't anything to shake a stick at this point in time. We have to monitor that, but it's more about, coming on to cover this cell that really pulsed up here. And the fact that the Weather Service office was mentioning a possible tornado out of this always warrants my attention, always warrants coming on live and to cover this with you guys live. Blue Goose says he's good. Hey, Amy, how you doing? Ormond Beach in the house. Yes, Farrah, thanks so much for reminding everyone. I appreciate you guys tuning in with me live here. Thanks for taking a quick second, hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel as well. Remember, Lean Law. I got my Lean Law tumbler. Just before I came on, I was able to very quickly fill it with a little bit of Publix Diet Green Tea. Not expecting to have to be on forever today, but when we have a storm like this, we're going to cover it for you guys live, okay? And again, we'll see this severe thunderstorm warning expire. Now, there's a special marine warning, and the new special weather statement, which looks like it's going to take over this area, looks like this. It's for the southern Brevard Barrier Islands and mainland southern Brevard with a strong thunderstorm till 5:45. So we've got A strong thunderstorm over Satellite Beach, or basically right over the barrier islands, moving east at 15. It's not going to be on shore for very long before it moves offshore. Wind gusts of 50. Wind gusts in that regard can knock down tree limbs, blow around unsecured objects. So it's Palm Bay, Melbourne, Rockledge, Cocoa, and Cocoa Beach that could still be impacted by this. Now, again, we are literally counting down to the second to say goodbye to the smaller and southern special weather statement and the severe thunderstorm warning, but they have issued a much more elongated special weather statement till 5:45. Now, again, they're not going to issue it for any longer than that because all of this is working its way off towards the east. I'll put this into motion for you guys. You will see. I'm just going to drop off the warnings here, so it's just a little bit easier to see what this looks like. But this has been the movement over the last half hour. There is some forward speed to these. Okay, and again, it looks a little bit weird because it's right by the radar site, but we do have some decent forward speed trying to pull offshore. It's lagging a little bit towards Vieira and Merritt Island and Suntree at the hour, and a couple of, nice lightning strikes down towards our friends at Palm Bay and Malabar as well. But there is some forward speed to all of this. Same situation with the storms that are kind of creeping into far, far northern Polk, far, far northern Osceola, and the southern and central sides of Orange County. And again, this is pulsed up, certainly. So MCO, the lightning there, right over Lake Nona, headed that way, Lee Vista, places like that. All right, so let's reset the shot. By the way, how about Hurricane Aaron, guys? Goodness gracious. If you guys are friends of the Media Mundo channel, I mean, what a storm. And the fact that we were able to keep the hurricane force winds offshore of any land, just incredible. Remember, it was a Cat 5 for a time. It was still borderline major hurricane late yesterday and passed North Carolina about 200 miles east today as a high-end Cat 2. Unbelievable storm. Thank you, El Mamo 2000. I appreciate that. Yeah, make it a part of the routine, right? And it's interesting now that I've been a creator now for about 2 years, and now when I watch someone else's stuff, it's the first thing I do because I know how impactful it is to a channel to get likes, to get people to subscribe, because the almighty YouTube algorithm loves that interaction. There are really 3 things that you guys can do to help me out. If you like the channel, you like, you subscribe, and you drop some comments in, because all that is considered to be interaction. The YouTube algorithm loves that. And if they say, hey, the folks who are watching are going to think enough about this channel to hit the like button, to drop some comments, and they're subscribed, we're going to recommend this to other people who don't even know this channel exists. And that's how your reach grows. So I appreciate you guys doing all of that. And, if you watch every time or every other time or however often you watch, I appreciate you guys, making that a part of your routine. It really does help out the channel. So thank you guys so much. Let's check in with our cameras again. As I mentioned, the main reason was to come on for that severe thunderstorm warning because the Weather Service had mentioned the tornado possibility. And I always want to be on when we feel like there's a thunderstorm capable of doing that, because if one develops, we want to be able to cover that right away and live for you guys. So live look outside the Winter Garden. Now again, there's not any rain on the far western side of Orange County at this point in time, but the clouds are certainly billowing back up as well. Hey, Sin, how you doing? Hope you're doing well, my friend. So we'll see. Again, there's not out of the question that we get another, bevy of storms, if you will, to come back over the I-4 corridor of Orange and Osceola and Polk and Silverville counties. Not out of the question. The skies are darkening here in Winter Park. Again, this is our brand new camera. I told you guys who have supported the channel via the super thanks, all the ways that you guys have donated to the channel, and I appreciate each and every one of you who has done so, that we're reinvesting this back into the channel. So this is a brand new camera for you guys. And again, we're gonna continue to expand our live camera network. So this is Winter Park, a little bit farther north from where we have another camera. This is looking off towards the east. It's a pretty good shot for us here. You can see some of those really, kind of perturbations, kind of just really wonky looking clouds there on the bottom right hand side of your screen, but we're able to get a good shot from this, and we are calling this our lean law camera. by the way, as well from Winter Park. Here is Conway. That's an interesting shot. Again, some of the storms moving offshore, kind of backlit at the hour, but the thicker, darker clouds beginning to move back over portions of Orange County. And the storms that are to the right of this camera or south of this camera down towards MCO are beginning to try and build a little bit farther north. So we're getting a little bit more overcast at the hour at Conway. And again, someone's getting an Amazon package. Well, lucky you guys. Live look outside to the attractions area. Again, the Magic Kingdom and the Disney property, literally a stone's throw away from this camera, just about a mile away from this camera at this point in time. And again, you know, we're watching some of those storms trying to build back up into that area as well. So that's our live camera network for you guys. And again, appreciate those who have found the super thanks, which is now available on the chat and other ways to support the channel. Again, you know, reinvesting to try and bring you guys even better coverage here. So back out to the current situation at 5:35. Again, we have this special weather statement. Now, it only goes for the next 10 minutes, but take a look at this. The Patrick Space Force Station just reported a 44-mile-an-hour wind. And I showed you guys on the velocity product that we had some 50s here. So this all comes together, that coastal Brevard County. And look, 45 to 50, that's going to cause some damage, okay? You're going to get some tree limbs down with this, maybe not the largest ones. You're going to potentially have some power issues from time to time, blinding rainfall as well. It's not a lot of fun to be driving A1A in coastal Brevard County at this point in time. You could knock down some unsecured lightweight objects in the yard. And again, we had a 35 earlier, now back down to a 33, but it looks like the airport just missed it. Nice lightning though, offshore. If you guys live here, this is going to be that spaceship looking, shelf cloud coming off of the coastline. So if you live a little bit farther south, like towards Miko, and you're looking to the north, that's going to be a heck of a view with this prolific thunderstorm coming offshore with all of that lightning. Really spectacular views there, but obviously a pretty nasty, gnarly storm to go along with it. And now we do have a severe thunderstorm warning for this one. And that's why I was holding on. I had a feeling that this storm pulsing up was likely to get a little bit rowdier. And here we go. So we now have a severe thunderstorm warning for, it's going to be mainly south, central, and eastern sides of Orange County. And I'm telling you right now, you guys, if you guys have tuned in long enough for me, you guys know that more than likely the reason why the Weather Service has issued this severe thunderstorm warning is that we're going to get a report coming up here out of MCO that they had a wind gust near 60 miles an hour. All right, because they didn't even have a special weather statement on this. But likely that METAR site, when we get there you go. You know, I hate to say I said so, but it all comes together. There's a reason why, and I've been doing this long enough, the Weather Service is going to just throw up a severe thunderstorm warning. And it's because MCO had a 68-mile-an-hour wind. All right. So 5:32, 68-mile-an-hour wind out of the southwest. That, my friends, is going to cause some damage. Let's get into it. Severe thunderstorm warning in effect for southeast Orange County. At 5:34, severe thunderstorm over Orlando International Airport, moving northeast at 20, 60-mile-an-hour winds, the 68-mile-an-hour wind gust. I'm telling you, that kind of wind is going to cause damage to roofs, siding, and trees. Orlando, Winter Park, Wedgefield, Avalon Park, and Orlando. Now, again, we do have a camera now in Winter Park. Now, this is on the far, west and northwest side of this, but we also have our Conway cam. So we have Conway and Winter Park cameras, and both are looking off towards the east. So we're going to have a really good view of this severe thunderstorm. And again, if you guys are just tuning in, severe thunderstorm warning now for southeastern Orange County because we just had a 68-mile-an-hour wind gust at the airport. All right, I can switch over to our velocity here and see. And it looks like, hang on, it's just going to take 1 second to update here. Now we also have the terminal Doppler radar out of Orlando as well. I might have to do a quick reset to enable that. All right. This system it's interesting when you bear down to. Okay, so here's TMCO. See if we can pick up the live sweep out of TMCO here, which is the terminal Doppler out of the airport. All right, there we go. The main reason why I wanted to do this is I wanted to look at the velocity product. So every major airport has their own Doppler radar. It's called a terminal Doppler, and I do have access to all of those. So, there's one at Tampa, there's one in Orlando, Jacksonville. Most major airports of any size are going to have their own TDWR radar is what it's called, but it's known as TMCO, terminal MCO. Look at the velocity here. That could have just been a nice little downburst. By the way, who lives in Tampa? If anyone lives in Tampa, was it last night that you guys had the heat burst, right? We're right at sunset, all of the hot air that was trapped collapsed, and you guys went from 90 to 97 degrees. This was probably a good downburst with that as well. Now, Aaron and the mixed up atmosphere that it caused, even though it's so far away, has really led to some very interesting weather phenomenons here lately across Central Florida, where we've had some really rogue weather in very, very focused locations, very isolated spots. But the Tampa Bay area, and I believe it was just last night. I mean, I got to be honest, all the days are running together as much as I've been covering Hurricane Aaron on the other channel. But you can get where, you get this layer of hot air that sits just above the surface and it's capped. It can't continue to rise and dissipate in the atmosphere. And then when the sun sets and the lower levels cool, all of that air can rush back down to the surface and you get that heat burst. Larry, you live out west. Did you feel that heat burst or hear about that heat burst yesterday in Tampa where they went from 90 to 97? Anyway, just one of those things. All right, we'll focus on this severe thunderstorm. I just wanted to switch over to the terminal Doppler out of Orlando to see if there was any, this certainly looks like all straight line winds. I want to check the bulletin one more time, just make sure that they were not talking about any kind of a tornadic threat. They are not. Again, we can look at the summary here. There is going to be some forward speed with this, northeast at 21. All right, I do want to check out our Conway cam, because this should start to see the northern extent of that thunderstorm work its way in. So again, severe thunderstorm warning right now in southeast Orange County. If you guys are just tuning in, appreciate you very much. Thanks for joining us on the channel. Again, that right there is kind of it's just east of this camera, and that is the severe thunderstorm, by the way, guys. That is it. So if you live in the southeast side of Orlando, Orange County in general, there is some nasty weather coming your way. Again, 68-mile-an-hour wind at the airport. Anyone lives in the southeast side of Orlando, let me know in the comments section below. But it's a nasty storm out there right now. Again, taking a live look out of the Conway area to that severe thunderstorm. Here's Winter Park, and that is going to be on the far northern side. So this is a cool shot because the storm has yet to arrive there and ultimately is likely to pass this camera and the Winter Park area east, but we can clearly see the billowing clouds developing and moving north into this camera view. So that's what we're seeing right now. And you can see all the striations. There's just a lot of instability here with this. And so, very ragged bases. It just means that, there's a lot of mixed up wind in the lower levels of the atmosphere to produce this at this point in time. But again, it's a cool shot there for anything. You didn't hear anything about it? Yeah, it was something, man. Tampa's temperature after 7 o'clock last night spiked to 97 degrees. All right. So let's jump back over. Let's see. Oh, hang on a second. Just need to reconnect with one of my computers. Winter Garden, again, clouds are getting a little bit thicker, but we're farther west. So it's really these two shots, and we're going to have a good idea of this severe thunderstorm from our Conway cam with this shot here. And you can clearly see the leading edge of that. That's the leading edge of the severe thunderstorm right there, pushing northeast at around 20 miles an hour. So I'm away from this camera, but the rain is so heavy. There's some lightning within this, but the rain is so heavy, you can't even really see those strokes of lightning, even though they're very close right now. We might get some kind of periphery flashes, but cool shot there. And again, all of this striations just beginning to stream into the Winter Park area, and you can see that the wind is beginning to freshen up there, even that far north and to the west. All right, back over to the weather computer. We'll reset the scene for all of our new watchers. Appreciate you guys jumping in. So we have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Orange County. And the reason why is we had a 68-mile-an-hour wind at the airport not that long ago at 5:36. Severe thunderstorm is going to go for the next 15 minutes until 6 o'clock. It does include Orlando, Winter Park, Wedgefield, Avalon Park, and the Orlando International Airport. Let's track this storm from kind of the leading edge here, right? So the good news, if you will, is that it is moving away from the higher populated areas of the eastern side of Orlando, but still is going to get very close to Lake Nona at right about now. So it's been about 6 minutes since here. The carrot's right over the 417, 528. And this will try and get towards Wedgefield at about 6:11, at about 25 minutes. And again, moving northeast at around 20 miles an hour. So if you live in the Wedgefield area, you look off towards your west, you got this storm coming in that has a history of producing a wind of nearly 70 miles an hour. Now, you want to talk about some unfun driving right now. You've got blinding rain, Azalea Park, the east side of Conway, where again, we're keeping an eye on that camera, right across 417 at this point in time. So this is going to get to Alafaya and Dean Road and the Avalon Park area, Waterford Lakes, Union Park could be associated with it. And again, our camera is about here, and it is looking to the far northern extent of the storm. Additional cells are trying to redevelop behind it a little bit. This cell is not nothing right now, right over Winter Garden and Ocoee. So we have our Winter Garden camera. Keep an eye on this one, but no lightning out of anything. But, here at the 5:45 hour, we do have a few more thunderstorms trying to get a little bit more gnarly at the hour. Let's go back over to the Melbourne radar. So let me turn off the terminal. Hopefully it'll let me do it. Every so often, this thing. Let's reset the shot. I love some of the fun things it makes me have to, the hoops I have to jump through, as they say. All right. Yes, turn it off, please. No, all right. We'll have to do a hard reset. I'm going to go first, though, over to the composite. So let me show you what has played out here with this activity the last couple of hours, so you guys can kind of get an idea. We had nice thunderstorms that were from St. Augustine all the way down in Brevard County. We had some severe storms and flooding up in Jacksonville. They had an over 50-mile-an-hour wind there as well. Then I jumped on when we had this severe thunderstorm warning that produced the 44-mile-an-hour winds and even 50-plus in a couple of spots. I can promise you that. But there was an inherent rotation with this, and the Weather Service office in Melbourne was discussing that a tornado was possible. So that always is going to gather my interest. But, while we were on tracking that storm, which is now moving offshore, this storm has developed over the Orlando area, and it produced a 68-mile-an-hour wind at the airport. So if you guys have heard anything about that, let me know. Ashru says, I can hear the thunder, but it's off of the distance. Richard 1 says, plenty of lightning, no rain, maybe a drop. Hey, Rhea, how you doing? To the south, it is dark. Richard is in Palm Bay. All right. Yep. So again, Palm Bay, it's going to be one of those areas where you're going to get a good shot of things here. That kind of shelf cloud, that spaceship looking pulling right offshore. But, a couple of really stout storms today to go along with a nice line that pushed through the coast a little bit earlier in the day. All right, so I'm going to need a quick second here to reset something. So I'm going to go back over to our cameras, take myself off camera, and again, we'll just kind of run through what's been happening across this area. So Winter Park, again, northern edge of the severe thunderstorm warning. You can see the darker clouds rolling into that area. Conway is the one that's going to give you your best shot. That is the severe thunderstorm. It is moving away from Conway at the hour. So if you live in Conway, that's good. You can kind of watch this storm. If you live places like Delaney Park and, the Lake Eola areas of downtown Orlando, even Union Park, you look off towards the east, stout storm moving away. But you can just see how nasty that one is on the leading edge. There is a ton of rainfall coming out of that, and can't rule out some smaller sized hail. Main threat is going to obviously be the winds. I mean, again, ground truth, 68 mile an hour wind out of this already. So obviously we're going to have to deal with that opportunity and, what that might look like ultimately as well, as far as, what kind of damage it could cause. But not a good situation here in the southeast side of Orange County, and always keeping an eye on the Disney property. A lot of that activity missed the Lake Buena Vista area to the south. Places like Four Corners and Champions Gate and Celebration had a decent storm that came through to the northern side of Osceola County and Kissimmee as well. But for now, we are quiet in the attractions area. Okay, so talking and working at the same time is always fun, but I got the Melbourne radar back up. So let's get into that. Again, this warning goes for the next 10 minutes. Now, again, I'm telling you right now, the Weather Service probably wouldn't have issued this had they not had that report. Now, since the storm has come through, the winds are back down to 36. So that's still a healthy storm. But again, at 5:24, so about 25 minutes ago, we had a 68 mile an hour wind. They are putting on 3/4 inch size hail as well. Again, that is teetering on potentially being an issue, a problem as far as damage. You have to normally get a little bit bigger than that. But again, let's talk about some of the places that this is headed. UCF, it is building north, right? It's now gotten up to Union Park. So it is building north. So UCF in the University Park area, Alafaya as well. Now, a lot of lightning on the northern side, but Avalon Park, Bithlo, certainly Wedgefield, and you go a little bit farther off to the south, and there's a few more lightning strikes. There's not a ton associated with this. This is gusty winds and heavier downpours, and probably a good downburst in the way of causing that 68 mile an hour wind. We probably had some really good downburst winds. Now, this storm is beginning to pulse up far eastern Lake County, but mainly sneaking into the far western side of Orange County, Oakland, Winter Garden, Ocoee, south shore of Lake Apopka. We have the opportunity for some smaller hail here. An additional activity has redeveloped in far southern Lake County. Not severe, no special weather statements, but you get the idea that we may not be completely done, with some of this stuff. Still have our special marine warning, but the good news is for our friends in coastal Brevard County, those storms have moved offshore. Again, I was tracking 50+ mile an hour winds just offshore, and at the Space Force Station there, we had a 44 mile an hour wind. And I believe the highest at the radar there in the Melbourne Weather Service office was 36. So upper 30s, low 40s reported, but I was tracking some winds of over 50 on radar. Hey, Jesse, how you doing? Yeah, western side of the state is fine for now. Not expecting there to be any other activity for the most part. An isolated rogue shower is possible, but it's mainly central and east with everything pushing its way from west to east, right? Now, again, we've had a little bit of redevelopment here in Orange County and Lake County, and we've obviously had that storm really pulse up here in the eastern and southeastern sides of Metro Orlando, which again has, warranted this. So that's cell moving northeast at 23. Okay. So at that particular spot, we've got Avalon Park at 6:06 and Bithlo at 6:15. Let's be clear, that's outside of the severe thunderstorm warning time, which is set to expire at 6, but we'll see if they do. 60s and quarters, 60s and 3/4 inch size hail, just below nickel. Hey Sherry, how you doing? Starting to hear some rumbling out there, 50 in Avalon Park Boulevard. Okay, I appreciate that. Thanks for letting us know. Appreciate you guys again jumping into the chat. Appreciate all of those who have found ways to support the channel. Again, we've taken that, added another live camera for you guys out of Winter Park, and you know, just trying to continue to bring you guys the best coverage possible. Watching this storm here. Now, our winter garden camera is close to this. Let's see if we're picking that up yet. It's getting a little bit darker, that's for sure. That storm is a little bit farther north from our camera, but we're catching some of the south development there. But obviously, it was a lot bluer sky in Winter Garden earlier when I first jumped on here about 45 minutes ago. Now it's a little bit darker with, again, additional storms. Those would be very marginal to become strong to severe, right? Gusty winds, heavy downpours, cloud of ground lightning, absolutely. But, you know, the storms in Lake and Western Orange County, you know, what's their chance to pulse back up? Probably not as great. They're a little bit farther away from the action. But, you know, again, it didn't take much, I will grant you, for the storm in Southern Orange County near the airport to get going and produce that 68-mile-an-hour wind. 68, by the way. You know, so again, if you guys live in that area or know anyone who does, please let me know. Elsewhere, just kind of taking a broader look at things, we have some scattered showers in portions of Osceola County, very sparse everywhere else. Again, you'll dot a shower here or there in Hillsborough and Pinellas and Manatee and Sarasota counties. We're basically dry in Hernando and Citrus and Sumter and Marion, so looking pretty good there. We've pushed all of the heaviest activity offshore of St. John's and Flagler and Volusia counties at the hour. So, you know, we've got this cluster here, gnarly storms right along and off of Brevard County's coast. And we have our severe thunderstorm warning for the next 3 minutes here in the eastern sides of Orange County. So again, just kind of going through this, you've got Union Park and Alafaya, so across Colonial, which is State Road 50, the 408 area and Dean Road, and then you've got the Waterford Lakes area out here as well. Then you follow 417 into Avalon Park, another very heavily populated community. Right down 417 to the 528 interchange, which is the beach line, and then east on over towards Wedgefield as well. Even goes as far south as Lake Nona in Medical City, and they got brushed by some good winds earlier. It's a little bit lighter at this point in time. Have not seen a ton of lightning out of that particular cell though, right? Spotty showers here at Kissimmee, so we've got our Lake Buena Vista camera looking back off this way, and even over 27 in the southern sides of Lake County. Again, a pulse up of a thunderstorm there, but not too strong at this point in time. Again, appreciate you guys tuning in. Let me know what's been happening in your area. How about Hurricane Aaron, by the way? Man, that hurricane, just to avoid everyone, including the North Carolina coast. Now look, if you guys are seeing some of the video from there, 20-foot breakers, water inundation, some flooding, it hasn't been the best. But to avoid the hurricane conditions there was something. Good news as far as that goes. Now you want to talk about the storm with all the lightning. It's what's moving off the Brevard County coast. 126 lightning strikes, by the way, filtered. I don't have it down to 0 again, so these are filtered lightning strikes in the last 15 minutes, and winds over 40 from time to time. So we'll see what the Weather Service wants to do with this storm. I'm still pinging a little bit of hail out of this. Doesn't look to be a big opportunity, right? It's mainly been about the wind. And you can see that we've had a nice little shower redevelop right over Eatonville and Fairview Shores and Pine Hills in Orlando. So, you know, here in Orange County, if you live in the Orlando metro area, you know, we're not done yet. We'll go back over to the Winter Park camera. Winter Park is kind of bracketed right now between the severe thunderstorm to your south and east and this developing shower, which has drifted up I-4 just behind this camera shot. So we'll see if everything's moving off to the east, and more than likely that this camera we'll start to see that cell, which is just beginning to fire up right now west, right across I-4, work its way right over this camera. You got it, Sen. Do it. Getting a little gnarlier out here in western Orange County. Again, pulsing up a thunderstorm. By the way, of course, you look at the bottom of your screen, you're going to see live, updated conditions across Central Florida, a lot of different cities. So, if you live in an area, check down below. More than likely, you'll get an update where you live or very nearby. And temperatures today obviously hit the 90s, but just depending on where you are and where the thunderstorms were a little bit earlier, your temperatures might be back down into the 80s already. So a lot of thunder here in the Winter Garden area. So we can catch some of these flashes of lightning. That was actually one right there. If you saw the camera fritz a little bit, it's because there's some lightning out there at this point in time. And again, this camera should get overrun by a developing cell as well. Conway almost looks like a double rainbow. Again, your severe storm moving away from the Conway area right now. So you get a nice little rainbow action. How about that? Now you notice though there is some rain. This is the redeveloping cell that's popped back up. It's not severe, but if you look kind of in the foreground, you'll see a couple of drips of rain. So the Winter Park Conway camera is getting some rain right now, and things are a little bit quieter back down towards Disney. All right, these are cameras to keep a close eye on. They'll help tell the story. But you can clearly see that we've had some redevelopment. Now, good news. The severe thunderstorm warning that was in effect for Southeast Orange County has been allowed to expire, right? And again, the reason why the Weather Service issued that is because they had a 68-mile-an-hour wind at MCO at 524. Absolutely warranted a severe thunderstorm. More than likely it was a downburst wind, right? With these storms developing and then they kind of collapse at the mid levels and they can produce a rush of wind that hits the surface and then spreads out in all directions because this storm was really just developing. But sometimes as they're doing so, they can produce those downbursts that are over 60 miles an hour. Now, everything else at this point in time, is behaving itself, but it's also still ramping up. So this was the severe thunderstorm that's now over Alafaya. Still a nice little high reflectivity, right over 434 and 50. So, again, still picking up the teeniest, tiniest opportunity. This is the redeveloping cell. And again, if I just put this into motion over the last 30 minutes, everything is moving east, okay? More lightning beginning to develop out of this. And more heavy rainfall coming back in. Gusty winds will be the primary threat, some smaller hail not out of the question as well. So we'll be monitoring that. But there is at least some forward kick to a lot of this activity. Heftiest storms are offshore now of Brevard County. So they're getting out of the way at this point in time. We do have, again, an isolated shower developing off towards the west, but it looks like the far western extent of a lot of this right now is back towards, even 33, but especially 27 of southern Lake County, and then over places like Oakland, in Winter Garden, in Ocoee, western sides of Orange County, far western sides towards southern Lake Apopka, Montverde there in Lake County. Of course, our friends in Claremont, Mineola. And then there's that cell that's just popped up right over Eatonville, Fairview Shores, Winter Park, and Baldwin Park. Fair amount of lightning associated with all of that. Yeah, it is neat, Rhea. I agree with you. They can be pretty storms. They can be nasty, but they can be very pretty as well. All right, so let's jump back over to our cameras. Just because these cells are right over these cameras, I don't want that to get away. So here's Winter Park. Again, just a really ominous sky, right? A lot of low-level cloudiness associated with that. More than likely going to have at least some shower activity run over that area. May not be too prominent, but probably get some lightning strikes going out of that as well. And again, off to the east is what was the severe thunderstorm. And then right behind this camera is the developing shower and storm as well. So kind of bracketed at this point in time, but it's getting worse in some areas of downtown Orlando and just to the north. Here's what it looks like in Conway. Oh, well, we sort of lost the rainbow. I think if you look at the top right-hand side of your screen, you can still see it. But obviously that cell that was producing the severe thunderstorm is moving away. Still a little bit of kind of blow-off rain right here in Conway, not much. And then Winter Garden. Oops, Winter Garden. Now I got two winters to deal with here when I'm clicking behind the scenes, right? And of course I have them right next to each other because that's smart. You got Winter Garden, you got Winter Park. And again, that's the live look outside to some of the developing activity there in the far eastern sides of Lake County and far western sides of Orange County. So again, appreciate you guys tuning in, covering these storms for you guys live on this Thursday, now early evening at 6 o'clock. Hope everyone is doing well. Hope everyone has had a good week so far. Again, when there's impactful weather here in Central Florida, I'm going to jump on and cover it for you guys live. This is a live-only channel. I do always recommend that you guys have your notifications on, which is the bell icon. You click on that. There's a couple of different levels of notifications. With this channel, I do suggest having all notifications on. Because I don't do recorded videos daily and upload them daily, you're not going to get inundated with notifications on the channel. If you get one, you know I'm live, and if I'm live, there's a reason to tune in and to check things out. So appreciate you guys jumping in. Again, if you guys have any specific questions about the forecast, please feel free to drop it down there as well. Hope everyone's doing good. So this cell here is expanding. And again, it's 6 o'clock. It's still drive time home. 429 is never fun. You know, 429 Turnpike Interchange, Colonial, busy area. So that rain coming down for Winter Garden to Coe, and it's built all the way down 429 and 27, Hamlin, and then close to Western Way in Lake Buena Vista. If you guys know Western Way off the 429, kind of the back way to get to the attractions, you know, some heavier rain developing there, but there is a nice little void in this spot. And again, because of the forward speed, this isn't sticking around any one area for too long. No special weather statements associated with any of this activity, and we just have this special marine warning now for the next 8 minutes. So, looking better, but this stuff is trying to pulse up a little bit. Let's look at winds. Let's bring up the velocity product here. Just make sure nothing is getting squirrely. Don't see much, you know. Again, I'm always going to pay a little bit more attention to this, especially when, you know, earlier we had a severe thunderstorm warning where the Weather Service talked about a tornado being possible. If you live in Oakland, maybe a little bit of pea-sized hail trying to develop here. Might be too far aloft. Maybe melting before it even reached the ground. Southern shoreline of Lake Apopka. Some beautiful areas there, but that's what the computer is picking up on. Maybe the smallest of hail there. It's not going to be as big as what it is because it's so far up from that product, but potentially some really small hail. Now again, the Weather Service has not issued even a special weather statement with any of this activity over Metro Orlando. But just to be clear, it is a very rowdy 6 o'clock hour there. Just noting a couple of light showers. I just want to point this out as I'm covering everyone. A couple of showers near Carrollwood and Temple Terrace and portions of Hillsborough County, but that's about it. If you live in the western third of our area, more than likely you're pretty good. I mean, again, we're seeing a rogue shower developing here over the Villages in Leesburg, so it's not out of the question as something tries to get going, but you know, for the opportunity that we're going to have a severe thunderstorm, more than likely it's going to have to pulse up in a hurry because it's already 6 o'clock. You know, these storms would have to kind of come together and produce something quickly. You know, otherwise I think you're just going to get some rogue thunderstorms developing near I-75, but still mainly off towards the east. Hey Ray, how are you? Check things here, make sure we're good. Got my diet green tea. It's a rough time of the year for my voice, man. I do a lot of talking. And I'm kind of one of those who is I'm always fighting kind of like dry mouth a little bit when I talk a lot. Let's see here, by the way. I'm going to bring up this local storm report. So again, let's check this out. This is from the MCO airport. 68 mile an hour wind gust at 5:30. Now, we had a 43 and 434 here. 39, this is coastal Brevard County. I'm over that shot. A 53, a 55. Now again, this is all at the, at Cape Canaveral, right? It's all near the launch pads. I mean, you can actually see the launch complexes right there. That's why we have all these sensors, by the way, right? All these clustered of sensors is because of the rocket launches. It's a great area as far as being able to tell the weather story because there's so many different towers and observation points there. Real quickly, you can see the storm beginning to move into Winter Garden. Again, not severe, but a lot of rumbles of thunder out there, no doubt about it, right? But it's pulsing back up even here in western Orange County. So gray sky, pretty good lightning. But it's nice to see at this point in time, we have no severe thunderstorm warnings, and even no special weather statements as well. Anyone have any specific questions about the forecast? Now look, if you guys know the channel, you know that tomorrow at 1 o'clock, I'm gonna be back on with CFLW, the show, so that you guys always have a good idea of any impactful weather that might be ahead. I do 2 shows a week, one Monday at 1 p.m., one Friday at 1 p.m. The timing is subject to change, but I always like to try and keep it Monday and Friday at 1 o'clock. Monday's show covers Monday through Friday's weather. Friday's show covers Friday and the weekend as well. So we'll get more into the forecast in tomorrow's show, but there will be the opportunity here that down the road for the weekend, we could get some stronger storms from time to time as well. Pulse up an isolated severe storm is not out of the question. So back over to the weather computer here. So you can see that the lightning count is coming up with this storm. But at this point in time, that's what it is. It's just a summer thunderstorm here in Central Florida. Same thing with some heavier rain over Maitland and Winter Park. So we'll have to check out the Winter Park camera one more time as well. And again, what was left of our severe thunderstorm is moving away. If you guys are just tuning in, again, we had a 68 mile an hour wind at the Orlando airport with a severe thunderstorm in Brevard County, which prompted me to jump on and cover this for you guys. Let's go back over to Winter Park. So now you can start to see a little bit of rain there from our new camera, our lean law camera, as we're calling it. As our friends there, Bobby Lean and the team at Lean Law, big supporters of the channel. So again, you can see that rain coming down in Winter Park right now. Non-severe storm, but it's just getting a little bit rowdier. It's really raining heavy right now in Winter Garden. So the storm in the western side of Orange County is pulsing up. Pretty darn heavy rainfall and not a lot of visibility right now if you live in the western side of Orange County. But again, not severe, just a good thunderstorm pulsing up late here on this Thursday early evening. By the way, you want to know what's wild is I'm looking at so I have a tablet literally just off camera where I have the YouTube channel and the live stream up. It's kind of like an administration mode, so I can see a little bit different than you guys, but I see the live chat, but I also see the stream just to make sure that everything's fine. And I had closed caption on. And you want to talk about something wild where I say something and there's a little bit of a delay, and then you look over and you see the words that you just said, so I had to turn closed caption off. Hey Fiona, how you doing? Fiona's got some rumbles of thunder in Altamont Springs. No rain as of yet. Fiona, appreciate you jumping in. Hope you're doing well on this Thursday. So again, we're getting some showers in Winter Park. We're getting some really heavy rain in Winter Garden. We can now finally see a little bit farther off towards the west now. Conway looks pretty good. Traxxas area is not that bad as well. But again, pretty good thunderstorm redeveloping here in Orange County. It's not severe, behaving, not even a special weather statement at this point in time. Okay. I think we're looking pretty good here, guys. I wanted to give it, it's been 15 minutes since the severe thunderstorm warning. Let's check out our wind gusts real quick, make sure nothing else is getting rowdy. So that 36 is earlier at the airport, was 543. Yeah. Okay. All of the nastiest stuff here in Brevard County is moving offshore. They're going to let this marine warning expire, and now one for a little bit farther offshore waters will pick up. Still getting, you know, at the Space Force Station at a 38 there at 532. Again, you know, Marion and Sumter, I can't rule out an isolated shower redeveloping. We're trying to get a couple pockets here. You know, this cell's going to be a good cell. It's going to be a good summer thunderstorm here in Central Florida for Montverde, Oakland, and Winter Garden, Decoy, and that will move back over Orlando, right? And this has spread all the way back over Lockhart and Pine Hills and Maitland and just south of Altamont Springs and Winter Park and Baldwin Park. Not a ton of lightning, some. Again, I have it filtered out a little bit. A lot of the newer lightning strikes are on the south shore, southeast shoreline of Lake Apopka. So if you live on the northern side of Winter Garden, north of Plant Street, pretty rowdy there as well. But, you know, overall, I think we're doing pretty good. So again, I don't like to waste y'all's time. Whenever there's really good storms is when I like to come on. So I think we're pretty good. So Ray says very dark here, Lake Mary. Yeah, this is a good storm that's going to be moving over portions of Orange County. It could slip into southern Seminole. It could slip into the northern sides of Polk and Osceola County. I think it's a very low end chance that this clusters up and produces 60-mile-an-hour winds to get a severe thunderstorm warning or maybe even a special weather statement. You know, this is a solid summer thunderstorm, but at this point in time, it doesn't look to be anything more than that. I know I'm moving the radar around a lot, but I just want to make sure that I'm not missing anything here. Okay, so I think we're good for the live stream, guys. A couple of notes. First of all, again, I'll be back on live tomorrow at 1 o'clock on Friday for CFLW The Show. Lot to cover with the forecast for the weekend. Appreciate you guys tuning in live for that. Of course, you can always watch the recorded version on the live tab of the CFLW YouTube channel. Appreciate those who have supported the channel via the super thanks and the other ways in the description of the video below. Those are all open. And again, you know, your support has allowed us to bring up the Winter Park camera now. So again, we're continuing to reinvest. I appreciate those who have found ways to support the channel in that regard. And I always appreciate you guys taking a quick second and hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel as well. All of those things really help to support us as well. I'll obviously keep an eye on these storms. If there's any reason to come back on and cover them for you, if they pulse back up again, I will. But I think we're just in store here for Seminole and Orange and northern Osceola counties to get a good, healthy thunderstorm through the 7 o'clock hour, which should begin to lose some oomph after that as it tries to work its way back off towards the east. Again, all of this activity is moving off to the east at around 20 miles an hour, so at least there is some forward speed associated with everything. Appreciate everyone who jumped into the chat. I appreciate all those who are watching right now. Thank you so much for tuning in. Of course, I'll be back on live when necessary, and if nothing else, I'll see you guys tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock for CFLW The Show. Thank you, my friends. You all take care. I'll see you soon.